All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. This is going to be an update on the petrol situation in the UK. I'm just going to bring this article out, which says, emergency services. So, like here, 1 second. Okay. Alright. It says, emergency services warn 999 vehicles could be without petrol as Brits panic buy fuel. Petrol stations were forced to impose a £30 limit on top-ups as people were spotted panic buying fuel by filling up jerry cans. The crisis has led to concerns there won't be fuel for emergency services. So what they're saying is that because people are stacking up all the fuel, that emergency services can potentially be without. And some people might think that that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal, because then if crimes are getting committed, right, certain emergency services might not be able to get to places that they need to get to, which can also cause then for the crime rate to increase. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the scriptures say that the course of people's actions shall stand in their power, all right, and that they shall not regard their kings nor princes, because people are not regarding that. They've already been told, don't buy up all the fuel. People are not regarding that right now. People have been told not to buy up all the fuel, but people are still doing it. They don't care. And also, if there's no emergency services, people then do certain things that they wanted to do before, but will not do them. But wouldn't, so like people will be able to now do things that they would have did before, or that they might have wanted to do but didn't do because they had a fear of the law. But taking away emergency services like the police, for example, that will cause for a lot of people to commit certain crimes that if they know that they can get away with it. Because one of the main reasons why people don't do such things is because they know they won't get away with it. And then also mentioning the £30 top up limit, that's rationing. That's rationing, man. So then they could also implement something like that in supermarkets as well. What if when this fuel shortage starts to cause problems there, they can also say, oh, we're limiting people to £60 worth of food per week, £30 worth of food per week, like whatever price they decide to say per week. £100, you can only buy £100 worth food per week maximum, or you can only buy this amount of bread, this amount of tins of beans per customer, which they already did in the past during this lockdown. There's many things that this fuel shortage is going to cause problems with. They're already saying it's going to cause problems regarding Christmas, like Christmas foods and stuff like that, speciality Christmas things like turkeys and all of these different things. So people are going to start bulk buying them if they haven't already. I'm not too sure whether people haven't started bulk buying that stuff already, but I wouldn't be surprised personally. Let me carry on through this article a bit more. It says, other motorists queued for hours after ignoring pleas not to fill up for the sake of it. There were reports of fistfights on the forecourts, ambulances having to wait in line for fuel, and road snarl-ups caused by queuing cars. Some medics cancelled shifts because they had no fuel to get to work. So certain people that might have been saving lives on a particular day, right? They're being made to not even go to work. They ain't even able to go to work because they ain't got no fuel. And that can be the same thing for police officers, the same thing for doctors and all of these different types of people. They can end up not having been able to go work because they don't have access to these things. Let me carry on. It says others feared being unable to respond to calls in ambulances because they might run out. So let's say somebody calls for an ambulance and says, oh, I need help, blah, 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 I'm at this address. They might start calculating, well, okay, that address is 10 miles away, but this other address is 5 miles away. So I'm going to do the 5-mile one, even though the 10-mile one is more serious. Or they might say, you know what, we can't even risk going out there because we might not be able to get back. We ain't got enough fuel to get back. We'll be stranded out there. So we may as well keep these people around here so we can use them here and around the hospital. And that's going to cause for a lot more people to die, ultimately, which is what Yahweh wants to do. Yahweh wants to get rid of a lot of these people, man, because they haven't been trusting in him ever a day in their life. Let me carry on reading. It says some garages imposed £30 limits on top-ups while drivers reported motorway services had shut. So some people might be driving on the motorway, right, thinking, okay, I know that there's a petrol station here normally, and then when they go to try and fill up their tank and they might be low, they can't fill it up. So that could also cause people to be stranded on the motorways, man, away from home, far out, away from their house, just stranded out on the side of the motorway, which isn't a place that you want to be, man. That's not a position that you want to be in. And then they might say, okay, luckily for me, I've got insurance and all of this stuff, I've got breakdown cover, and think they're going to call for the breakdown cover, but they can't call for the breakdown cover because the breakdown truck ain't got fuel to come out and get them. So then what they're going to do? What would they do in that situation? They'd just be stranded, man. Like 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, and from the 14th verse to the 19th verse, is going to be caused by things like this, man. By fuel shortages, which are going to lead to all these other different things. I don't think people really understand how drastic fuel shortages is. Because a lot of these people are not being able to go to work because of fuel shortages. Well, then that means they ain't getting paid. So that's going to cause loads of other problems. Their bills ain't going to be paid. And that's going to lead to a whole bunch of other situations in itself. They ain't going to have money for food. Some people ain't going to. But yet you've got some people out here, when you consider those things that I said, you've got some people out here doing things like you see in this picture here. A guy filling up his car all the way to the brim, or a woman, I can't really tell what that is. And then they're filling up all of these little miniature jerry cans as well. But picture a carnal person waiting behind somebody like this, right, to finish filling up all of these things. They're going to get angry, man, especially if they've hardly got any petrol, any fuel, and they see somebody doing this. That's going to cause for them to want to get carnal, man. That will cause for these people to want to get carnal. And that's going to cause for the scriptures in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, to be enacted out, which I'll read just in case there's people that don't know what I mean by that might stumble across this video. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And woe means destruction. Destruction to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. A sword's being sharpened for all you people, man. And that sword's going to come in many ways. The sword is just going to be things that are going to cause for you to be harmed, man. And their destruction draweth nigh, and one people to stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbour, but shall destroy their houses with a sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. And this is what we're seeing right now. People are starting to get greedy, right? And everything's being prepared in order to cause for people to be carnal toward each other. The stage is being set for people to get real vicious, man. And the main people that are going to be affected by this stuff is you proud women. To bring this into this video as well, man. Let me bring that topic up into this video to add another layer to this lesson, because you women are some of the most proud going, and these things are gonna cause for you women to go back to a humble nature, man, because you're not gonna be able to cope in these times. Women are not gonna be able to cope in these times the same way as men will, because the scriptures even say that men are gonna be girding up their loins like women. So what are the women gonna be doing? The women are gonna be even more scared than the men. This is Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9. Rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear to my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come in. That's happening right now. These fuel shortages. Certain luxury products might not be getting put within the backs of lorries, man. Certain shampoos and makeups and stuff like that might start getting sacked off. when it comes to storing up things in the supermarket, man. All the things that are used to make women use their witchcraft and trick men into thinking that they're way more attractive than they are. A lot of these women that walk around and men think that they're 10 out of 10 in attractiveness, if you take off those 25 layers of makeup that they've got on, you'd think that some of these women are gremlins that climbed out of the sewers. People wouldn't be simping over them like how they are now. People wouldn't be falling out of the sky, climbing out of the trees, jumping out from behind the walls to try and save them and simp over them. And that's what's going to happen when things get really dangerous in this world and hectic. Men are not going to care about women as much as they do now to be trying to do things for them. So these women are not going to be able to use their beauty to manipulate men in that time. It's not going to be a thing that they can use for their advantage like how they can now. This is verse 11. Tremble ye women that are at ease, be troubled ye careless ones, strip ye and make ye bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. They're going to be thinking, well, hang on, since March 2020, things ain't been the same. It's been a year. The scripture said many years. It's been a year. And since that lockdown happened, we've been catching hell. It's coming up on being 2 years once we get to March again. Which really, I guess you could say that the lockdown even happened before that. The scripture said many years. So these women are going to be catching hell, man. They're not gonna know what to do. Many days and many years, man. They're not gonna know what to do. Women ain't gonna know what to do in this time, because even men are not gonna really know what to do in this time. And that's why ultimately we have to just us that believe in Yahweh just have to trust in what Yahweh is gonna do and guiding our steps. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? So I don't know if I worded it properly before, but it says that men are going to be like looking like they're giving labor, man. Like they're having labor pains. Men are going to be like that. Terrified for the things that they're going to be seeing, man, because so far in this world, for the most part in this world, a person can live an antagonistic life, and as long as they got their phone on standby to dial 999, they can get away with anything pretty much. Because the laws of this world are designed to keep the weak, to make the weak have power over people. It's not designed to be fair. It's designed to give people an advantage, whereas the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai are even. It doesn't matter whether you're rich and commit a sin or whether you're poor and commit a sin. The law is the law. And there ain't no favoritism in the laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, where in this system, judgment gets acted out on a case-by-case basis. So if a woman that's pretty and attractive commits murder, she'll probably get away with it. But if a man that's an Israelite in particular commits murder, he's definitely getting put in jail. And even to take it further, even if he didn't commit the murder, he's going to go to jail because they'll just assume that he did it. And that's why you can go all through the internet and you'll see many cases of Israelites being locked up for 40 years and then it turns out that they didn't do it. There's many cases like that. Israelites ended up in prison having all manner of wickedness happen to them for people thinking that they're criminals, right? And then it turns out that they wasn't even guilty. Because that's the kind of world that we're living in, man. Just a wicked world. Let me carry on in this verse 6 again. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. When people see something that's crazy, their face gets pale or whatever, and people say stuff like, you look like you've seen a ghost. People are going to see certain things, man, that they're like, what the hell is going on? Like people right now, have for the last couple of years, man, we've been expecting to see things like this, but certain people have never ever thought that anything bad like this could ever happen. They never thought that anything like this could ever happen in their life. They thought that everything's just gonna flow, everything's just gonna work right as it's supposed to. They thought, okay, I've got this 5-year plan. and it's going to come to fruition. But us as Israelites, we stay catching hell. We stay losing, man. Any plans that we have, they always flop, man. We never get our way. We're used to losing. But this world's not used to losing. But they're going to begin losing, man. And they're going to know why we stayed believing in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. It's going to be made manifest. Because Yahweh can crush your dreams in an instant, man. Easily. That's light work for Yahweh. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12 and verse 17. For men will not believe that thou art full of power. Thou showest thy strength. And among them that know it, thou makest their boldness manifest. And that's what we're seeing right now. Men didn't believe that Yahweh could do anything. So he's showing that he's full of power. He's showing his strength. And among us that know it, it's going to make why we did the things we did and believe in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, and why we've tried to change our lives in certain ways, and why we are striving for righteousness' sake. It's going to make our boldness manifest. All praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.